meet Shaz, one of my therapist daughters. Now, Shaz wanted to meet me so we can talk about
Grief.
and why grief. Shaz.
I feel like grief is a topic within, especially the Black community, that's not spoken about enough. And it's a subject that tears families, breaks down relationships, even breaks down yourself because it's so difficult to cope with. So I feel like it's a topic that needs uncovering a little bit more.
I think you're absolutely right, and I agree, because lots of us, in fact, every single one of us, goes through what is called grief. And you can't tell anyone to stop grieving because we all grieve in different, unique ways. So, Shaz, have you ever lost someone that you really felt grieved about?
I lost my mum in September 2021.
Oh.
I've lost an uncle, an auntie, friends. And it's been a hard process. It's been a hard process.
I can imagine. If I was to look at you in your eyes and say, I've walked that path as well, does it help in any way?
I think it does. I think in the grieving process, when you know someone else has gone through grief, it's like a level of understanding that's between you, because you know what that pain feels like. And even though you may not have had the same relationship in your grief as individual, when you know someone has had to deal with loss and live life after loss, there is a connection that you feel because they know what that pain feels like.
Now, there's at the moment 5 steps of grief. And if you haven't come across these 5 steps, please Google them. And do you remember what they're? Anger
denial
is one of them. Denial. Let's look them up, guys.
Depression.
Google. Depression. Bargaining. And the
acceptance.
That's the last one. And guess what? It's one of the 5 life principles Love Protectors Game Up. So, have you ever experienced any of those 5?
I have.
All together in the order they appear in, or in different order?
One thing that I find interesting is you've got the 5 stages of grief.
Yes.
But you can come in and out of those 5 stages at any time.
That's true.
So there is times where I've experienced the depression of grief, and there's times where I experience the anger, the denial, and it just goes backwards and forwards sometimes, depending on the weather.
Yes.
Depending on how you're feeling, depending on where you're at in your process. There is all different types. You can even get to a point of acceptance, and then something's very triggering, and the whole anger starts again, and you're just going back through those stages.
I agree. So, guys, players, are you ready? Have you got your app ready? Let's play Love Protectors. Just you take the phone. Yes. And you know already how to play Love Protectors because she's one of our players. She's one of us, guys. Love Protectors, come on. Are you ready?
So I am going to select G.
Yes.
For grief, I'm going to select grief.
Yes.
And then it has which one life principle can help you overcome this issue.
Out of 5, guys. Just 1?
Just 1. So you've got acceptance, you've got excellent communication, you've got true self-love, you've got unconditional forgiveness.
Yes.
And you've got unconditional respect.
So which one, Shaz? Which one?
See, I'm in between acceptance and unconditional forgiveness.
Yeah. Let's see. Have you got it too? If you have, well done. So, what tips? How do you get unconditional forgiveness? Spot on. That life principle.
It says here to act nice, clear, focus, reflect, and let go.
For that reason, I think instead of just having 5 steps of grief, guys, we should add unconditional forgiveness. and I'm going to reveal to you as well more about why that step, unconditional forgiveness, should be the sixth step after acceptance. Are you ready? Charles, write down unconditional forgiveness. And if you've got a paper, please pull it out and write unconditional forgiveness. Because let's do this. With this, grief becomes easier. It doesn't go away completely, but it becomes easier. So unconditional forgiveness. Can you write it in one line, please?
Yeah.
Yes, straight in one line. One line, unconditional forgiveness.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Here we go.
You see? So cross out the G, letter G, and write it down. Underneath the R next to G, the I next to R. Cross out letter I, any I you want. Letter E, any E you want for echo. F for foxtrot. Move it down. Grief. Then next to grief, write A for alpha, N for November, and D for daughter. So cross out A in unconditional, the N, any N, yes, and the D. Now, grief, and I want you to cross out the letter L at the end of unconditional. Write it down. I for India, next to L. V for Victor, letter V. And E for echo, the last letter E. So what does that say?
Grief and live.
Grief and live. Now, maybe you've been told that your mom has just passed away. Like I was once as well told that my husband was dead. And you won't believe it, because I was right next to him, holding his hand. His hand was in my hand, holding on to his hand, speaking to him, because he was in coma, telling him how much he meant to me, how much I loved him, until I saw his hands, his hand and fingers started turning purple. It was then that I pulled the bell. They have bells, which I managed to pull. It was attached onto the wall. In wards here and hospitals, they're attached to walls. So as soon as I pulled it down, the nurse came in and I said, "Look, my husband's hand, the fingers have turned purple. What's happening?" He looked at me and said, "I'm sorry. He's dead. He just passed away." Maybe they've just told you exactly that right now. Maybe yesterday, maybe a week ago, maybe a month ago, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I can't tell you how to grieve because it's so personal. We are so uniquely made. And for me to tell you don't grieve, I can't. You have to go through it your way. But you have to live. You have to live. Why do I say you have to live? Because when we are going through that excruciating pain, you think of the worst. And that worst is sometimes taking your own life. You ask yourself, what is the point of me carrying on? What's the point of me even living? You can't grieve and live. If I can do it, and Shaz can do it, you can do it too.
That's right.
Now, once you've accepted, remember the fifth step. acceptance. Now, unconditional forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Forgive God. You don't know how mad I became as a Christian, as a woman of God. I hated God with every breath. I said, how dare is God to take away my amazing mom? And then when I lost my dad, and then my dad, and when my husband died, and then my husband. But little did I know that we were all born and we will all leave this planet Earth. Moving on. The next word we want to show you, I want to show you as well, Shaz, is you see this I in the middle, letter I next to L. I want you to cross it out and replace that O with that letter I with the letter O. Remember we talked about leave. Now grief and love. When you grieve and you've accepted what has happened, you leave, and then once you've accepted to live, to carry on, make mommy, dad, auntie, whoever it is proud. Be strong. You love. So we grieve and love. And that's what I'm doing. I'm living and loving, but with grief. What about you, Shaz? Do you love?
I do.
And you are living.
Love is what carries you through grief.
Exactly that.
And understanding that we grieve hard because we love hard.
Yes, I love that. So guys, thank you so much for playing Love Protectors with us. If you have any comments, we would love to hear them and see them on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. Remain amazing and God bless. Grief and live. Grief and love. Until next time, lots of love. Bye-bye.